Hello, and thank you very much for joining me today. This video is going to be part of my series on simple stamping and getting started in stamping. Obviously, if you're an experienced stamper, you'll still find something for you here today. So today we're going to just do a little simple stamping card. It's going to be a card like this that just uses nothing more than stamp, inks and paper. Today's card was inspired by a card that I saw on Pinterest by a demonstrator called Michelle Strads, which used a different leaf set. And in fact, you could use any leaf set that you happen to have. But what I'm going to use today is this set from the January to June mini catalogue 2022. I think this is a really nice set to get if you are just starting out on your stamping journey, because what you want in a stamp set at the beginning is a set that's going to do you for many occasions. And leaves and flowers, you know, you can use them for weddings, you can use them for thank yous, you can use them for birthdays. And this set has those, and it also has a nice little selection of sentiments. So you've got kind of everything you need to make a number of cards in one set. It is a bundle, so it does have matching dies that go with it. Because this video is about a simple stamping experience, we're not going to be using those dies, but if you're an experienced stamper, you would definitely want to be looking at them because they give you so many more options. Okay, so we're going to get started now. And in an earlier video I've talked about how when you get started and you can't buy everything, that it's quite nice to limit yourself to one of the Stampin' Up colour families. So today we're going to be using the Regal family, and it has 3 greens in it. So there's garden green, shaded spruce and old olive, and so those are the 3 colours that we're going to be using. Right, first off, I've got a card base in shaded spruce. I've scored it at 10.5 centimetres, which is halfway. Using my bone folder to get a nice solid crease. And then I have got my piece of basic white, which I'm going to start stamping. Now, there isn't really a particularly right or wrong way to do this. Each time, if you were going to make lots of these cards, each time they would turn out slightly differently. Now, because this is quite a large stamp, I'm going to stamp it this way up, so I can see that I've got a nice good coverage. This is shaded spruce. And I'm going to stamp it. And one thing you do have to remember is you've got to give the ink time to transfer. So I always press firmly, and in my head I do a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boom, nice impression. So, whoops, wrong ink. I'm going to do a few of those around. And I'm going to go for the opposite corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to have some more of that. You'll notice that these stamps have got a lovely kind of etched look to them. That's because they're what Stampin' Up call distinctive stamps. And they do have that lovely sort of lithographic effect. Okay, last one of these. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in your head is particularly important when you've got a solid stamp like that. Now, the second stamp we're going to use is this open leafy one, and I'm going to do that in garden green. Now, with an open stamp like this, you don't need necessarily to do the 10 count in your head to get a good impression, but I'm a creature of habit, so I kind of do. I'm going to turn this one around. Now, you could leave it like that. That would work. But I'm going to bring in a lighter colour. So I'm going to use the old olive. And I'm going to use this little stamp here, which is just a set of leaves. Now, it's quite a solid stamp. And solid stamps can bring you trouble if you don't do the count. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, because I want those stamps to come out nice and solidly. I think I'll go over here now. If you're a new stamper, you'll also notice the way I'm tapping my stamp on the stamp pad. I always say to my people, you want to tap, 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 not mash, 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 because you don't want to be picking up much ink around the edges of the stamp. You just want to be picking up from the solid, from the actual stamp surface. So tapping is much better than like pressing really hard into the stamp surface. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. So I've got some nice solid stamps there. Now we're going to need a sentiment. Now if you looked at this set, you can see there's some lovely ones. Thank you, happiest birthday wishes, sending all the hugs, and hey there. We're going to go with thank you, because I always like to have some thank you cards around. Now this is the bit that can go wrong, because you're stamping and you want to stamp straight. So you'll notice that I lined that up with the lines on the grid paper. I'm going to choose Garden Green to do the stamping in. And when I blocked up the stamp, I made sure, well, that says hey there, that's actually the wrong one. Okay, that I made sure that it was straight on the block. Now in theory, see, tap, tap, tap. In theory, if I line up the bottom or the top of the stamp with the lines, they should be straight. Yes. So now if I know if I've got my card square on the lines and I line up straight, cross my fingers a little bit. Beautiful. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get this card base. You can, if you want to, just put it directly onto the card base, but I quite like to double mat because it helps to bring out the colours. So I've cut a piece of old olive and I'm going to mat that first. Get my glue. Adhesives is a matter of personal choice. I like glue, and the reason I like glue, you don't actually need much. In fact, in my opinion, I've slightly over glued that. The reason I like glue as my adhesive is because once you put it on, you get a little bit of wiggle room before the glue dries, and so you can just make sure that you're getting it straight. And when you use tape runner or even double-sided tape, your opportunity to wiggle it right reduces quite a lot. So another little bit of glue. Pop it on. Use my wiggle room to make sure it's central and straight. Beautiful. Of course, if you didn't want a thank you card, you could make any card that you wanted. Now, I do like to decorate the inside of my cards as well. So I've got another piece of basic white. I'm going to get the shaded spruce back with this one. I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I think I will do a slightly smaller variant on the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Beautiful. And I think that we will have perhaps a little bit of this one. And just a smaller bit up there. And perhaps I'll try my luck out by doing the old olive as well. So we'll just tap, 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 always tap, tap, tap. Much better to do light taps than a big push down. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 10. Beautiful. And now, just a little bit of glue. As I said, I'd actually, because that's a fairly new glue, I'd actually consider that to be slightly too much glue. And then we're just going to pop that in there. Yep, our wiggle room is good. And then a nice little bone fold just to make sure. And there you have it. Now, you'll also, I mentioned earlier that I talked about colour families in a different video. This is the same card using the Brights family. So the Brights family only has one real green, which is the Granny Apple green, but it's got Bermuda Bay and Coastal Cabana, which make a nice sort of tropical look. So you can make this card obviously with whatever stamp sets and whatever ink sets, whatever ink colours you've got. There'll be more information about these cards on my blog, thinkingstamping.co.nz. Thank you.